Hello and welcome everyone. This is Type V3 with a Gunpla review of the 1 to 100 scale Graze, Gjallarhorn's mass-produced mobile suit as it's seen in Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. This kit comes with a total of 10 items. There's 8 plastic runners, a large set of polycaps, and a very minimal foil sticker sheet. The complexity of the build is similar to that of a high grade, only with 1 to 100 scaled pieces. It's a smooth process that has you build out the full inner frame, which is then outfitted with armor plates. In my experience, I found the torso construction very intriguing, but the armor plates didn't quite lock in as securely as I would have liked. You may feel the need to glue these in place. Otherwise, the 1 to 100 Graze provides a fairly by-the-book building experience for today's Gunpla standards. The fully assembled 1 to 100 Graze looks great. Boring maybe, but then this is the series' main cannon fodder. Proportions and general detailing are accurate to the MS seen in the anime. Likewise with the choice of color. There's minimal use of colored parts separation, still all the key areas have been hit. Stickers are used only on the sides of the yellow circles in the torso, and they turned out okay. A great thing about a straight build with the Graze is that it is almost devoid of natural seam lines. The tops of the shoulders might be the only spot you may want to seal, yet I think it's perfectly acceptable. The kit also gives you the option to build the unit up with either the standard head or one with the commander's horn. Both variants can open up to reveal the suit's sensor too. All in all, the 1 to 100 Graze has strong visuals straight out of the box. Now, while being mostly green is accurate, the on-screen version comes off a bit more exciting thanks to the anime's use of dynamic lighting. This model kit, on the other hand, doesn't have that advantage, so in that sense you may want to add your own extra details. Good news is that there's plenty of panel and edge lining opportunities to break up the solid blocks of color. Also, with this being a grunt suit, personal markings or battle damage details always make for nice additions. There's plenty of ways to customize this Graze. For height, you're looking at a kit that stands around the 7-inch mark. It scales nicely with the Barbatos without much else to mention. For articulation, the Graze has a ball joint at the neck, and it works pretty well. It can look in all the directions that you'd want it to. My only problem is that when you look up with the head, the backside tends to conflict with this armor piece here, and the armor piece isn't as secure as I would like, so it tends to rise up with it. You could glue that in place if you want. Also, the whole helmeted area, it's not as secure as I would have liked. It's kind of just sort of held all in there by friction, but no real tab, so it tends to rock around a bit more than I would like. And it's the same story for these pieces on the torso. Like, every time you push down on this green bit, it tends to pop off, and these lighter green sections, they don't lock in anywhere, and they're supposed to be, I think, at the side here, and I just wish there was a peg that connected it all, but I suppose it's okay. As for the remainder of articulation, there's a ball joint at the waist that lets it go side to side, and then it has a hinge somewhere in the midsection of the torso that lets it go back, and then you can push the whole ball joint at the bottom forward to let it go upwards a bit. The other thing too here is that there is a piston right here, and that's a working piston, so that's really cool and interesting to see. There you go, it slides back and forth. It's a nice gimmick and something that I always like seeing. For the arms, they are connected to the torso on a swivel point, so these go in and out. Then you have a ball joint for the actual arm itself. It is all connected to a separate wrist, or separate hinge, at the shoulder pad, and then there's a hinge for the shoulder that lets it go outwards on its own. You have a bicep rotation, single joint at the elbow with a pretty great range, and then a ball joint at the wrist. Side skirts are connected on ball joints, they move out of the way, and the front hip skirt is a straight peg that goes through both. You can cut it if you want, and these just go forward as such. For the hips themselves, it's interesting, it's just a universal joint here that connects the whole thing to the body, but the mounting point is on its own little swivel, so what you can do is you can pull the whole mechanism down, and these are separate for both sides, and then this lets you just get a bit more range to go forward. The only problem is this armor piece here is huge, and it always collides with either this section here or this section here, so forward kicks are a bit limited. Outwards movement, it's okay, it's not the best. The cylindrical top here kind of blocks things, so you may have to lightly pull out the leg a bit more just to get more range, but as it is, it's not going to do that much. There are double jointed knees, and these are pretty excellent, no problems there. And here on the backs of the calves, you do have a thruster that tends to pop out just a little bit. For the ankle, it's a simple ball joint. It moves any way you want. I wish there was a toe point here that could move forward just because it is a bit limited, but that's okay. And then finally, the ankle armor just swivels up and down. Articulation is good, and the functioning pistons in the torso are nice. However, the hip movement was a surprising limitation. The Graze comes with a good amount of accessories. First up are a pair of fists that double as gripping hands. These are meant for use with the kit's two main weapons, the battle axe and rifle. Both look fine and come done in an all-gray plastic. If anything, I do suggest painting the edge of the axe silver. Functionally, both weapons can be held without weight issues. The rifle can also be built up with a short nose barrel if that's your preference, and the axe has a built-in peg that lets you store it on the hip. The Graze also comes with a high mobility booster with two different mounting options. One of them lets you mount the booster on the back for use in space, while the other lets you mount it on the lower armor skirt for use on Earth. There's a couple swivel points that allow for minor adjustability too. It's a cool little unit. Finally, this kit includes new arm armor for the 1-100 Barbatos. Using these pieces as well as the current shoulders on the Graze, you can downgrade the current Barbatos into its second form. It's not a particularly interesting feature, and having to cannibalize the Graze to do it makes it something I'll probably never do outside of this video. The 1-100 Graze is a solid model kit. It's a pleasant build that's comprised of a full inner frame and snap-on armor plates. The visuals are nice and use minimal stickers. There's a good amount of accessories and the articulation is great outside of the hips. My only real complaint is the solidity of certain armored sections. Also, I don't see the need for including the extra Barbatos parts. All in all, it's a grunt suit that I'm pleased with. Speaking of grunt suits, the best part about the Graze is that it's fairly inexpensive for its size. This translates into a very accessible troop builder. So with a couple more of these and a dash of customization, you could quickly amass a small crew in a nice scale and heavy on personality. I don't know if the 1-100 Graze is truly spectacular, still it's a kit that offers plenty of fun, huge potential, and one that I wouldn't mind having more of. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and like with all Gundam grunt suits, now that we've seen the standard unit, it won't be long until the arrival of the Special Ace variant.